Hey everybody, it's Emily at Homeschooling, and welcome back to another episode of Homeschool Tidbits. Welcome to Build Your Library's Homeschool Tidbits. Today we're doing episode 25, and this is going to be advice to the new homeschooling parent. In this weekly video series, I will delve briefly into a topic related to homeschooling, and I'll share some of my knowledge and expertise as a longtime homeschooling mother of 4 children, 3 of whom have graduated, and 1 who is a new college graduate. I still remember back when I first started homeschooling my children. I was in my 20s, and I didn't really know anybody else who was doing this crazy, rebellious teaching their own children. I was completely overwhelmed. What was I thinking, taking on this much responsibility? What if I totally ruined my children? What if they turned out weird? Well, let me tell you that 20 years into this adventure, I am now a lot less overwhelmed, and my kids have not been ruined. And weird is a relative term, isn't it? I've even managed to get my 2 oldest into college on academic scholarships. When we first started out, I was always worried about people asking my kids a simple question and them not knowing the answer. I was terrified of being proven an incompetent teacher, and I was very uptight and obsessed with the idea of doing everything the right way. The trouble is, there's no such thing as the right way. I eventually learned to relax and allow for the inevitable gaps that would appear in my children's education. No one can know everything, and education is not about memorizing every fact possible. That might work if you're going to be a Jeopardy contestant, but that's not what educating our children is all about. I don't claim to have all the answers or to have everything together, but I do wish I could go back and offer some advice to my younger self to just calm those first-time homeschool mom jitters, or even the been doing it a short year or 2 and am still uneasy mom. So here is some of the best advice I can offer. Number 1, relax. It's all going to be okay, really. Homeschooling is a lot of responsibility and a lot of work, but it's also fun. Relax and enjoy your kids. One of the best benefits of homeschooling is that we get to spend so much time with our children. We don't have to squeeze in family bonding time on the weekend. You get to relax and hang out with your kids anytime you want. I know that sounds like both a blessing and a curse, but remember, you don't have to entertain your children 24/7 either. Teach them to work independently and entertain themselves, and you can still have the time you need to read, bake, knit, even clean your house if you want. Number 2, make reading aloud a priority. And I know I say this all the time, but reading aloud is one of the most important things you can do with your kids. Whether they're 4, 10, or even 16, everyone enjoys a good story. When I look back on our years of homeschooling, I can say this is one thing we've done right. We built an amazing family connection through books. Even my twins, who are reluctant readers, and if asked, will say that they don't like to read, still quote books that we read together, and they still debate favorite characters. We have inside jokes about the stories that we've shared together, like how we cannot see rabbits outside without saying, "Hazel, we have to leave the war and it isn't safe." Or the fact that this year, my children were so excited that I turned 42 because now I get to be the answer to life, the universe, and everything. It's a good year. Number 3, don't compare. Your child is unique. Even if you have multiple children, each one of those children is unique. And they each have their own timetable for learning. And you are unique, and you're going to come to teaching your children in your own way that suits you best. There is no one right way to do anything. Just because someone else's children are reading Shakespeare or studying algebra when they're 6, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with your child because they're not. I've had both early and late readers, and at the end of the day, they all learn to read and read well. You know your children far better than anyone else. So go your own way and forge your own path. I promise the grass on the other side of the fence is just as green as yours. Number 4, keep it simple. Especially if this is your first year and you're starting out with very young children, the only thing they have to learn is how to read, how to write their letters well, and basic math skills. Everything else is gravy. Your first grader does not need to study a foreign language. They don't need to study grammar or even history. So if you've planned all of those things and you're feeling overwhelmed a few weeks into the school year, just drop some of those non-essentials. Cover your 3 R's and read aloud some great literature. In the first few years, that is more than enough. I promise you have time, so much time ahead of you to cover all those other things. Number 5, don't overschedule. This goes along with keeping it simple. When you're first starting out homeschooling, people are going to ask that dreaded question, what about socialization? So you end up overcompensating by signing your kids up for every activity, karate, co-op, art class, soccer, book clubs, music lessons, scouts. Ugh, there's so many opportunities and all of them sound fantastic. But too much activity means not enough time doing your lessons. And it means all of that time spent driving from activity to activity. And that time could have been spent taking a nature walk in your neighborhood, or just playing Legos and relaxing at home listening to a good book. If you find that you have to squeeze in lessons around all those activities and errands, then you need to take a step back and reevaluate. Overscheduling your days leads to burnout for everyone. Every year, I let my children pick 2 activities. These activities are typically things that are scheduled later in the afternoon or in the evening, so it doesn't take away any time from our lessons. Number 6, be kind. Homeschooling is hard, and there are days when you will want to quit entirely. You'll be sick of being around your kids all day, and you'll consider picking up the phone and just enrolling them in school already and being done with the whole thing. When you're having a bad day like this, or maybe even a bad week, just take a break. Drop the books, go outside, play at the park, take a fun field trip. Just cancel lessons and watch movies all day. Love your children, even when they get stuck on the same math problem for the millionth time. Even when they forget how to read or diagram a sentence. You might feel like losing your cool and yelling at them for making the same mistake again, but instead, I want you to take a moment, count to 10, take a deep breath, and just love them instead. Show them kindness and force yourself to be patient. They grow up fast, and you just need to recite that mantra, this too shall pass. Number 7, homeschooling doesn't need to look like public school. Public schools were set up to teach hundreds of children the same materials so that everyone could be educated at the same time in the same way. Those methods don't apply to what you're doing at home. You will be less of a teacher and more of a mentor or guide. Often you're going to be learning right alongside your kids. There are as many ways to homeschool as there are homeschoolers. Do what makes sense for your children. Study what interests you and your kids. Don't let the curriculum control you. If you're studying ancient history and your kid gets really excited and can't get enough of ancient Egypt, follow that rabbit trail and see where it goes. Don't worry about getting off schedule. You aren't tied to any specific school timetable, so if you need to work through the summer, you can. You want to take a month off in the middle of the year? Sure, why not? You are in charge of this, so you get to make the rules for your own homeschool. Number 8, don't listen to the haters. It is human nature to care what other people think about you, but those who aren't familiar with homeschooling will not understand what you're doing. And they'll question it. They'll question your parenting choices, and they'll do it rudely sometimes. But you don't have to answer to these people. Don't let others who aren't directly involved in your parenting choices dictate how you homeschool, especially if all they know are public schooling methods. They tell you that your kids are going to be weird or that your children aren't going to get into college. You know what? Let it go. That's their wrong opinion. I'm here to tell you that homeschool kids do get into college and everybody's a little bit weird. Don't take it personally and don't let it stress you out. If they're always negative, try to avoid them for a while. Homeschooling is hard enough without someone dumping negativity all over you every chance they get. You do not have to ensure that your children are the poster children for homeschooling. Number 9. Mistakes are okay. Whether it's a mistake made by you or your children, it's fine. Mistakes happen. Let it go. Maybe that math book isn't working out. Ditch it. Find something else to use instead. Maybe your 7-year-old is struggling with narration. Take a break for a while and come back in a month or two when they're a little more mature. Giving your children a safe environment to make mistakes without worrying about the consequences of getting a bad grade or having people call them dumb for not knowing the answer is so much more important than struggling through something that isn't working. And number 10, focus on the now. Even if you're in it for the long haul, you don't need to try to plan your children's entire education from day one till they graduate. Things change. Circumstances might change. Your children's interests might change. Plan just 1 or 2 years ahead. And that's really all you need to do. If your oldest child is only 8 years old, don't even think about high school yet. Be in the present. Focus on what's happening now. If there's a book that you really want to read with your child, but it's scheduled in a much later level of the curriculum you're using, just read it now. You can always read a different book when you get to that point, or read it again and just do it in more depth. You don't want to miss out on the experience of reading that book with your child, so just do it. Thinking too far ahead just brings stress into your life that you don't need. Homeschooling is a journey. And it's an adventure, whether you're doing it for just a few years or their entire education. The days are long, but the years are short. It isn't a cliche to say kids grow up fast, because they do. So try not to lose sight of why you're homeschooling in the first place. When things get hairy and you start to have doubts, just remember to take a step back and look at your children and who they're becoming. Give them a hug, love on them, and set aside your school books to just do something fun together. Homeschooling is one of the most difficult, but also one of the most amazing things I've ever done. And while I've had a few moments here and there that I regret, I can honestly say that I love that I've gotten to do this. And I love that I've given my children this life and this gift of our time together. It's been a wild ride, and I wouldn't change a thing. If you found this video helpful, I hope you'll check out Build Your Library curriculum. Build Your Library is a secular, literature-rich homeschool curriculum inspired by Charlotte Mason's philosophy of education. Based on 20 years of homeschooling, I created the curriculum that I wished I had had when I first started homeschooling my children. I have spent thousands of hours cultivating the best literature for your children's studies. Our lesson plans make homeschooling simple. Just open up the lesson plans, grab your books, and go. Our easy-to-use lesson plans include everything you need to homeschool. Just add math. Choose from our full-year K-12 levels, as well as our fun topical unit studies and our newest product, Lit Bites. With Build Your Library, you will cultivate a home library filled with captivating literature, and you'll raise children who become lifelong learners. So snuggle up with our lesson plans and a good book or 3 and have your best homeschool year ever. I hope you found this tidbit helpful. The code for next week's Build Your Library giveaway, the week of August 15th to August 20th, is New Homeschool. Come back next week for more homeschool inspiration. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.